the grasslands of the southern United States, wild boars descend in droves every night, tearing through cornfields, ravaging crops, and leaving farmers in despair. These ferocious beasts not only cause economic devastation, but also pose a threat to the safety of livestock and people alike. Determined to protect the harvests and eliminate this menace for the local community, we embarked on an all-night hunting expedition. The entire journey was captured vividly with an iPhone 15 Pro Max. Will we succeed in stopping these notorious destroyers in their tracks this time? Join us to experience every thrilling moment right now. As the sun began to rise, we headed toward the vast plains, a feeding ground where wild boar herds often roam at dawn. Our team traversed the endless fields in a Tesla Cybertruck. My comrades and I double-checked our rifles, ammunition, and essential gear, preparing for a confrontation with the massive, monstrous herd. As we sped across the flat expanse of the field, the ground suddenly trembled with rhythmic thuds. Sensing a hefty herd of prey ahead, my teammates slammed on the brakes. Before our eyes, a massive herd of wild boars charged forward, as if they'd caught wind of the hunter's presence. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle, locking the largest beast in my crosshairs. Holding my breath, I pulled the trigger, and a deafening shot tore through the air. Instantly, the monstrous creature collapsed, thrashing wildly, while the rest of the herd scattered in all directions. Seizing the moment, my teammates swiftly tracked the fleeing prey, their rifles following each desperate movement, picking off the boars one by one. A near-perfect start to today's hunt. Determined to track down the escaped herd, I used the GPS device to lead the team deeper into the plains. Suddenly, a lone boar broke from the pack and charged toward us. It stopped dead in its tracks, glaring at me as if daring me to act. My heart pounded as I gripped the rifle tightly, aiming straight at its head. A deafening shot rang out. The beast reeled backward, collapsing in defeat, completely subdued. Before we could catch our breath, not far off, my teammate had already zeroed in on another target. From a distance, it barreled through a clearing, mud and dirt flying under its frantic hooves. John took a deep breath, pressing the rifle stock against his shoulder, his eyes locked on the target. A shot rang out, the bullet piercing the beast's leg, causing it to stumble and drag itself in a desperate bid to escape. Without hesitation, a second shot echoed. Critical hit! John shouted. The massive creature collapsed, leaving behind an eerie, chilling silence. After taking down the last of the prey on the plains, we swiftly checked our gear, reloaded our rifles, and moved into the nearby forest, a perfect hideout for the wild boar herds in this area. Who do you think will emerge victorious in the battle about to unfold? We hadn't moved far when a sharp sound shattered the silent air. Our team leader signaled everyone to hold position. From the thicket ahead, a massive wild boar suddenly burst through, leaving a trail of snapping branches in its wake. Acting on instinct, Nick raised his rifle to his shoulder, tracking the beast's path with precision. The crack of the trigger echoed, and the bullet struck true, piercing the creature's massive body. It lost momentum, skidding across the dry grass, leaving a long, stained trail behind. Keep moving, my team leader said. About 10 minutes into our trek, a dangerous situation unfolded. A massive wild boar burst from the thicket, roaring and charging straight at me like a living arrow. The distance closed in an instant. Heart pounding, I barely had time to raise my rifle, align the sights, and pull the trigger. The bullet pierced clean through its forehead, and the sheer momentum of its charge sent its heavy body crashing down right at the tip of my boots. Continuing our journey, barely 10 minutes later, the forest erupted with grunts and the thunder of frantic hooves. A herd of wild boars was barreling through the dry thickets like a flood tearing through the silence. I spun around, quickly aimed at the one in the middle of the pack, and pulled the trigger. It dropped instantly, while the others scattered in panic, their clamor echoing through the depths of the forest. After hours of intense pursuit deep in the forest, exhaustion began to set in. We decided to retreat, following the narrow trail back. But just as we were heading out, a lone wild boar suddenly darted across our line of sight. Instinct kicked in. I raised my rifle and fired. The first shot grazed its shoulder. Not letting the beast escape, I quickly pulled the trigger again. The second bullet struck true, and the creature staggered before crashing to the ground, completely subdued. In America, whenever wild boars descend, entire communities erupt into chaos, as if facing a state of emergency. Fields lie in ruins, crops torn apart, and desperate locals turn to expert marksmen as their last line of defense. When nature spirals out of control, who will step up to restore the balance? Join us on this pulse-pounding pursuit, where humans confront colossal devastators in the heart of the wild. Who will claim victory in this fierce battle? The answers will unfold with every step of today's hunt. We set out for the vast prairies of the American Midwest, where wild boars roam in packs. Rifles, thermal binoculars, and camouflage gear are locked and loaded. The hunt across the open grasslands begins. Treading carefully through the lush green prairie, barely 10 minutes passed when a loud rustle erupted behind me. A monstrous beast was charging straight at me with terrifying speed. Instinct kicked in, I backstepped swiftly, raised my rifle, and fired. The first shot grazed past, the prey dodging by a hair's breadth. Not letting the moment slip, I locked onto the target again, and pulled the trigger once more. The second bullet struck true, piercing its flank. The beast collapsed, skidding across the ground before lying still. In another direction, a panicked prey bolted across the prairie, fleeing after witnessing its companion's downfall. Seizing the moment, I swiftly shouldered my rifle, fine-tuning the scope's aim. One heartbeat later, I pulled the trigger. The bullet sliced through the air, striking the beast's flank. It skidded across the grassy expanse before collapsing, completely subdued. Leaving behind the sprawling prairies, we press on toward the rugged hills of the American West. The terrain shifts dramatically, jagged rocky slopes, scattered thorny brush, and air growing dry and crisp. We double-check our weapons, stocking up on binoculars, armor-piercing rounds, and water. The battle in this harsh hill country officially begins. The pack of hunting dogs was unleashed to scout the terrain. In less than 10 minutes, their frenzied barking echoed across the hillside. From a distance, I spotted a beast fleeing the relentless pursuit. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle, locked onto the target, and pulled the trigger. The sharp crack of the shot rang out, the bullet tearing through the air and striking a vital point. The prey collapsed down the slope, the chase over in a flash. Continuing the climb toward the hill's crest, a sudden rustle in the nearby brush caught my ear. I knew the prey was lurking there. Moving softly, I closed in, ready to take it down. The moment its dark head poked out from the thicket, I fired in a flash. The bullet struck its skull, sending the beast reeling backward before it tumbled down the hillside. No chance for it to fight back. Just nearby, the frantic barking of the hunting dogs erupted again from a thick cluster of brush ahead. I swiftly closed in, holding my breath, rifle raised and ready.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Once again, we've claimed victory in a heart-pounding showdown between hunter and wild nature. Every shot fired today was within the bounds of the law in designated hunting areas across America. Wild boars, not just fierce forest creatures, but a living nightmare for those who dwell near the woods. They destroy crops, rip through fields, and don't hesitate to attack livestock or people. As their rampage grows more vicious by the day, hunting isn't just a passion anymore, it's a way to restore peace to these lands. Armed with weapons, GPS trackers, and a team of elite hunting dogs, we set out once again. Join us on this relentless journey deep into treacherous forests to confront beasts as big as nightmares. We kicked off this hunt on a vast open grassland in the American countryside, where wild boars often sneak in during early mornings searching for food. The sun had barely risen, morning mist still blanketing the field. Our team quietly double-checked all gear and weapons. Not a single word. Silence was our shield. We moved gently through tall grass, starting the ambush. The dogs were released, tasked with leading the way and flushing out prey. Roughly 10 minutes in, barking erupted, shattering the morning calm. Then, like a shadow rising from the ground, a massive wild boar emerged and began charging straight toward us. No hesitation. I raised my rifle, held my breath, and squeezed the trigger. The bullet struck its body clean. It dropped instantly, crashing into the grass with a heavy thud. Powerless now, it lay there at the mercy of our dogs. Just ahead, a nearby bush shook violently. Something was in there. I crept in closer, rifle gripped tightly. Suddenly, a black blur exploded out of the underbrush and darted forward. I didn't blink, I aimed, fired. The blast echoed. The beast flipped in the air and crashed into the grass, motionless. Walking just a few dozen meters along the edge of the clearing, I spotted a lone boar straying from the herd, creeping forward cautiously. I didn't waste a chance. I raised the rifle, locked onto the target, and pulled the trigger. The bullet flew fast and hit its shoulder, dropping it mid-step. It thrashed briefly, then stilled. Leaving the grasslands behind, we climbed toward the rugged slopes. Steep and unpredictable terrain, perfect for ambushes, but also danger. Wind howled through the rocky outcrops, and we began noticing wild boar tracks scattered across the dusty ground. The hunt was far from over. What awaited us next was tension, grit, and the unforgiving landscape of the hillside. From a vantage point above, I spotted a boar weaving its way through rocks and brush down below. I didn't hesitate. I raised the rifle, adjusted my aim, and fired. The gunshot rang out. The boar took a few staggered steps, then tumbled into a deep ravine, lifeless in the still mountain air. The dogs barked madly ahead. Something was moving. I sprinted toward the sound. There, in the clearing at the base of the hill, stood a monstrous wild boar cornered by the dogs. Before it could fight back, I aimed for the vital zone and squeezed the trigger. One clean shot, one perfect kill.
Oh,
At the same time, on the outer perimeter of the chase, one of my teammates faced his own showdown. A massive boar lunged straight at him from the bushes. He didn't flinch, he raised his gun locked in and fired. The bullet struck dead center between the beast's eyes. It collapsed instantly. I made my way along a narrow mountain trail littered with dry grass and loose rocks. Suddenly, from below the ridge, a hulking boar exploded upward like a missile. No time to think, I pointed the barrel, held my ground, and pulled the trigger. The crack of the shot echoed through the forest. The boar flew midair, twisting, then crashed at the base of the slope gun. One, after hours of chasing and close calls, this hunt came to a close, with results that made it all worthwhile. From sweeping grasslands to treacherous hillsides, each shot was a testament to teamwork, patience, and hard-earned skill. Of course, every hunt was conducted within legal bounds and permitted zones.
Welcome to an entirely new challenge. Today, we will spend a full 24 hours in the mountains, facing the wilderness and tracking the most powerful wild boars. With rugged terrain, harsh weather conditions, and unpredictable challenges, can we accomplish our mission? The result of this adventure will surely surprise you. Stay tuned until the end of the video to witness the most thrilling moments. The wild boar population in France has increased significantly over the past decades, reaching an estimated 1 million. These animals cause extensive damage to crops and farmland, particularly in Brittany, where compensation for farmers rose from €185,000 to €455,000 in just 1 year. As a result, the government has encouraged hunting activities, leading to a significant increase in the number of hunters, especially among women and young people. My hunting team and I set out early in the morning, following the guidance of the Onyx Hunt app on our phones. This app integrates digital maps, helps identify legal hunting zones, analyzes terrain, and tracks prey movements using GPS data. With this technology, we hope for a smooth and successful hunting trip. Following the app's directions, we spotted a stray wild boar frantically running. Unfortunately for it, today was not its lucky day. As it dashed past me, I immediately fired 2 precise shots, rendering it completely incapable of escaping as it tumbled down the mountainside. With a tight formation, we quickly spotted another dark figure. It cautiously took steps before attempting to flee. However, our hunting dogs swiftly chased and attacked, forcing it into the open. The boar fought desperately, but all its efforts were in vain after a decisive gunshot. A short while later, in a small valley below, I spotted another wild boar being chased by our dogs. Although it was at a considerable distance, I decided to take the shot. Fortunately, my bullet was precise enough to secure another successful hunt. In a more open hillside area, my hunting partners led the dogs into the shooting zone. Following the sound of barking, we scanned the dense bushes. As expected, a wild boar suddenly burst out at an incredible speed. However, with the reflexes of an experienced hunter, I immediately fired. A well-placed shot successfully took down the large, hefty boar. On our way back, we stopped by the roadside, guided by the app once again. Another encounter with a wild boar took place. The boar, sensing danger, did not hesitate and bolted away, making it difficult to aim accurately. I steadied my aim, but to ensure a successful kill, we coordinated and fired 2 consecutive shots. Finally, the prey was down. All the wild boars we hunted were brought back, concluding an intense and successful trip. The following day, our luck seemed even better. This time, we challenged an aggressive herd of wild boars in an unspoiled wilderness. The landscape featured undulating mountains covered in greenery, interspersed with solemn rocky patches. Within the first half hour, we detected multiple wild boars. Startled, they fled in panic, but our hunting team and dogs quickly pursued and cornered them. A series of gunshots rang out at close range, hitting several boars. The deafening noise heightened the intensity. After a round of shots, we were extremely pleased with our haul. We decided to take on a more difficult challenge, eliminating wild boars on the highest mountain peak in the area. This summit was extremely dangerous, requiring extra caution to ensure safety. A loud gunshot echoed through the mountain, bringing down a wild boar that tumbled down the slope. The hunt grew increasingly intense as we constantly encountered boars. Fortunately, luck was on our side. Armed with only a basic hunting rifle, my shooting skills were pushed to the limit, and the boars fell one by one. At the mountain's base lay a small valley with a stream running through it. The cool water seemed to be a favorite resting spot for the wild boars, as they love to bathe and cool off. We followed the stream, carefully searching for traces of our prey. As anticipated, the wild boars appeared near the riverbank. We followed their movements closely. However, shooting accurately in this area was challenging due to numerous branches obstructing our view. I spent considerable time chasing and ambushing one particular boar. Finally, in a brief moment when it stopped, I fired the decisive shots, eliminating it instantly. Spotting a wild boar on the run, I swiftly pursued and cornered it on the mountainside. As it frantically tried to escape from the hunting dogs, I took my shot. Another wild boar was successfully taken down. Although hunting wild boars may seem easy, achieving precise shots requires high-level marksmanship. Fortunately, With extensive practice and experience, I was able to make crucial shots. We ended our trip while it was still early. However, this mission is far from over, as controlling the wild boar population remains an ongoing challenge. Thank you for joining us on this adventure. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.